Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Keep It Pro training call brought to you by Networking Wisdom each and every Sunday at 4 p.m. Pacific for the past 5 years. The purpose of this call is not only to learn skills for success in business and network marketing, but also in life. Thank you for joining us today. My name is Meredith, and I have the honor and privilege to introduce the creator and host, Mr. Romacio Fulcher. Romacio is a well-sought-after leader, trainer, and coach, as well as an extremely successful international entrepreneur. At the age of just 25 years old, he made his first millions in mortgage and real estate, and shortly after that, he was introduced to network marketing. Because he was an ideal student and learned from the best, he quickly rose to the top. In fact, he's been one of the top 50 MLM income earners in the world. He has 750,000 people in his organization and has done over $1 billion in sales. He knows how to make money, and he knows how to make money fast. He loves to have fun, but most of all, he loves to share the wisdom he has gained over the years. In fact, he has helped countless individuals make life-changing income all over the world. What I love most about Romacio is his ability to know exactly what his audience needs to hear each and every time he speaks. I highly suggest that you find a quiet place and grab a pen and paper because you're going to want to take notes and remember these nuggets of wisdom he is going to share today. Without further ado, here is your millionaire mentor, marketplace minister, the California kid, Mr. Romacio Fulcher. Are you there?
Absolutely. I'm here. Can you hear me, Meredith?
Loud and clear.
All righty. Thank you so much for stepping up and serving and being the host of today's call, guys. I'm excited to be back with you again. Today we're going to have a really, really good call, as we always do. And we're going to be setting this up for a new series that we're going to begin next week. But I want to say hello to all of you that are listening. I want to say I appreciate the love this past week. Several of you sent me emails and text messages just telling me what a joy it's been for you to be on these calls and to learn and to really apply and some of the transformations that are happening in your life. Guys, I want you to know, that really, really makes me smile. It really, really makes me feel good just knowing that in a moment of obedience that God gave me some 5 years ago to do this call, didn't know what was going to come of it, wasn't expecting to make any money from it, was just trying to be obedient, just trying to be obedient, and didn't worry about what was going on the left, didn't worry about what they were doing on the right. I was just obedient, doing what it was that I was, called to do. And to see the difference that it's made to many of you that listen both domestically and those of you that listen internationally, it really blesses my heart. It really does. It really reminds me that God is far more superior than any of us. He's far more wiser than any of us. He knows what it is that no one but only him knows. As it says in the word, his thoughts are so much higher than ours. So listen, guys, I'm excited about today's call. It's going to be a different kind of a format. I'm going to be bouncing around several different places, but you better believe me, I'm going to tie it all together as we come to the close of it. Today's call, guys, we're going to be focusing in on the word prosperity. We're also going to be focusing on the word stubbornness. I know some of you say, well, wait a minute, how do they go together? Just stay tuned. I've got a special treat for you today on this call. But I want to just, once again, for those of you, maybe this is your first time, maybe you've been with us over the last 5 years, we say thank you. We appreciate you. And, guys, every single Sunday, you're more than welcome, you, your friends, your family, anybody, you're more than welcome to join this free call whereby this is our Sunday Keep It Pro training call. And on this call, we teach two specific things. Number one, we teach you the specific skills, underline the word specific, the specific skills that you need to get yourself to the top of whatever it is that you are promoting. I love saying that. The second thing that we teach is we teach life skills. And the reason why, if you're wondering, why do we teach specific skills and why also do we teach life skills? Because you're going to find that both the specific skills and the life skills go hand in hand. In other words, as you grow in life, everything else around you automatically grows. So everything in this life is a reflection of you, your thought process, your belief, and your actions. And so the reason why we teach these life skills Because as you're trying to grow your specific skills, the most important thing that you should be focusing on is growing yourself. And what that means, ladies and gentlemen, that means growing your perspective. You know, at a very young age, I don't know why, I was always drawn to wisdom. I was always what they call an old soul. Now, today I'm 43. I still kind of think that's not old. I think it's kind of I look at myself as a young man. But as I was much younger, you know, I truly was an old soul. You know, I don't know why. I don't know why I was always drawn to wisdom. Whether it was a male, female, black, Filipino, white, didn't really matter, whoever it was. I just was always drawn to wisdom. I'm talking about when someone would say something that it would just strike a chord in me because it just felt solid. And I think that has a lot to do with the many of seeds that my ancestors, both my mom, my dad, my grandparents, that they seeded into me, you know. And for those of you that are listening, if you have children, listen, I'm not a perfect man by any stretch of the imagination, but I got to tell you, with all of the complexities, with all of the difficulties, I really feel that I had a perfect childhood. And when I say perfect, I'm talking about it's the imperfections, baby, that make it perfect, baby. Let me say it again. It's the imperfections. That's right. I'm talking about those beatings that I got from my parents and my grandparents. And I know some of you listening don't agree with putting your hands on your child, but I'm telling you, man, this boy right here, Romacio, man, he needed somebody to put hands on him. I'm telling you, I was testing everything. If you don't, so you're listening to me now, I'm a little bit more refined. You didn't know me when I was rough around the edges. You didn't know me when they said don't touch the stove, and I put my hand, my feet, and I put both hands on that stove. So you didn't see. I needed, as the Bible says, some correction. So I'm so thankful. I'm so grateful for my rearing, and I really truly believe it was perfect. And I say that because as I grew up and I began to hear different people's philosophy, men, women, boys, girls, adults, it didn't really matter. You know, anytime I was able to hear wisdom, I was just able to discern it. I was able to detect it. I don't know how I was blessed with that. I just was, and I was always drawn to it. It didn't matter if it was me and a couple of guys talking, me and some ladies talking. It just didn't matter. I just always was the type of young man that was drawn to wisdom. And as I grew up and I learned more about the Word of God, I really understood that wisdom is the principal thing. Wisdom is the beginning of it all. Wisdom is everything. You know, we look at King Solomon, it is because he was blessed with wisdom. That's why he became the wealthiest man to ever live. And so my point in saying all of that, guys, is that the reason why this call is called Networking Wisdom is like you heard on the intro, I try and share different nuggets, different philosophies, different things that have worked for me throughout the years with all of you. And so, again, I really appreciate those of you that listen, but I really, really, really appreciate those that apply. And so what we're going to be talking about here today, guys, we're going to be wrapping up this prosperity series along with the word stubbornness. Earlier this week, something was dropped in my spirit that just told me to really, really teach on the word stubbornness. And I was like, what? Stubbornness? And I really, watch how I tie this in for you guys listening. I realize that, you know, some of you are at different places in your life. Some of you are trying to build a business right now, and it's going really well. Some of you are just getting started in the business or been in a business, and unfortunately, it's not going so well. And I just know that all of you guys are at different places in your life. Some of you are literally waiting on that young lady to finally, you know, be ready to say yes to you in marriage. Some of you are waiting on a husband that maybe is kind of strayed away and been praying that intervention take place so that the marriage can get back to where it used to be. I mean, we all are, as they say, we all are waiting on something. And so I'm very aware that as I'm talking to those of you that are at different stages of your life, different ages, different backgrounds, you know, I'm very aware of that. I take that very serious. And so as I teach on this that I'm getting ready to share with you, I want to first of all say to you, what I'm going to be teaching on today, we're talking about stubbornness and how it ties into prosperity. This applies to all of you. This really does apply to everyone listening. So don't think, oh, no, he's not talking to me. No, I'm talking especially to you, okay? So if you're the person that stumbles on this message as you're just, searching through YouTube, this is exactly what you needed to hear at this moment in time. So I want to share with you, first of all, a couple of people, well, one in particular. I'm going to start from the spiritual aspect of things, and then I'm going to bring it into the natural. So it'll all tie together. Trust me, we're going somewhere today with this message. I want to first of all talk to you about Job. I know that not all of you on this phone are familiar with the story of Job in the good book of the Bible, but I want to encourage you, read it. Read it. And if you're like me and you don't like reading, listen to it on the Bible app. You can download it for free right there on your cell phone, okay? But Job is a very, very important character in the Bible, and I'm going to summarize some things here for you fairly quickly so we can stay in context. But Job is somebody that I really love the story of Job. And I've listened to it probably at least 3 times in my life, and it never gets old. It never gets old. So if you want to take some notes on what I'm going to be talking about from a spiritual aspect, as we talk about stubbornness and we talk about prosperity, I'm basically coming to you from the book of Job. Okay? All right? Now, with that said, what I want to do is I want to kind of, first of all, start off with talking a little bit about the story of Job, because I know not all of you listening are aware of it. So let me just kind of summarize it for you, right? So, long story super short, the devil, and when I say the devil, you guys all know what the devil is. We're talking about demonic forces, demonic energy, darkness, okay? That's the devil. The devil came to God and said, listen, he wanted to try his best to take over. And so the devil went to God and said that, and asked God for who is somebody that he could test, somebody that he could try. And again, the devil's goal at that time was to try and take over. That's what he was trying to do. He was trying to really flex his muscle and show God that he was more powerful than God. That was his intention. And so God said, devil, have you ever considered my son Job? And God told the devil, you can do whatever you want to him, just don't put your hands on him. You can do whatever you want to him, just don't put your hands on him. And so Job, long story short, the devil attacked him. I mean, he sent every type of distraction, every type of demonic force known to man. Let me give it to you short. Job lost everything. He lost his wife. He lost his family. He lost everything. He had boils all over his body. I mean, he was attacked. So some of you, and I want you to catch this now, some of you are just going through a season, and it feels real dark. It feels real heavy. You got a lot of pain on you. But I want you, please, I'm asking you for your sake, to go and reference the story of Job. I want you to do this. You've got to see this. You've got to read this for yourself. I want you to see, and again, I'm summarizing it, but I want you to really read it. I want you to see the fullness of everything that the devil tried to do to Job. And I want to point out something. He had lost everything. He had lost his wealth, all of it. He had lost his family, all of them. He had boils all over his body. He had lost it all, everything. Everything. And by the way, Job was a person who was obedient to God. He was doing everything he was supposed to do. He was righteous. But he lost it all. And yes, there were a couple of times that Job did question, God, what's going on? And remember, the devil's goal was to get Job to denounce. Denounce. He wanted Job to denounce. In other words, don't say that you're serving God anymore. He wanted him to turn away from God. And even though Job lost it all, I'm reminded of when Job's wife said, where is your God now? Look at everything that's happening to us. Where is this God that you say you serve? Where is he? This is where my favorite word comes into place. Job, even though he was losing everything, with boils all. Can you imagine? Just imagine for a second. You're living right. You're doing everything you're supposed to do, and this heavy attack comes on you one after the other. Just another one and another one and another one and another one, and it just won't let up. Just won't let up. And I'm reminded of Job, even though he was going through everything he was going through, his stubbornness kicked in. His stubbornness. This is where the word stubbornness comes from, this call. He was so stubborn, he wouldn't let go. He would, no matter what happened to him, he would never denounce God. He would never say, I'm not rolling with you, God. I'm not with you. I'm not serving you. I'm not praising. He would never give it up. I'm reminded that the devil said to God, he said, you must have a hedge of protection around Job, because everything I send at him, nothing will crack. Nothing is working. And because of Job and him remaining obedient, he continued to give God the praise and all that he did. He continued to stay faithful to God, even though he was losing everything. The verdict of it all, even though he lost it all, God gave Job double for his trouble. So double the wealth came back to him. Double everything. God gave him double for his trouble. So you say, well, what's the point of the story, and how does it line up with today's call? It lines up because I want to first of all talk about stubbornness. Most oftentimes we hear the word stubbornness used in a very bad context, where sometimes, we're being disobedient to our parents, or we're being disobedient to someone who is an authority figure over us, and we don't want to follow the rules, and so we're going to be stubborn and do what we want to do. Most of us are used to hearing the word stubbornness used in a negative context. But today, I want to show you how there is a time and a place for you to, as they say, dig your heels in and get super stubborn and just refuse to quit. And I'm going to show you how that ties into your prosperity, because the enemy is going to come against you, and I can't tell you how he's going to come against you. I just know you are going to experience significant resistance along the way. Now, hold on a second here. Just because you are righteous does not mean you're not going to experience resistance. The Bible teaches us that bad things are going to happen to the just and the unjust. That's right. That means you and I. So if I had a daughter, which I don't, and if I was raising her, somebody asked me the question, well, what would you tell your daughter about such and such? And I said, you know what? Listen, I would tell my daughter, hey, baby, this is what's coming. I don't know the day. I don't know the hour. I don't know who it's going to be, but I know it's coming. This I know. And I know it's just a test, is also what I would tell my daughter as well. It's a test. And I know it's not going to be easy. But I would say to my daughter, there have been many others that have also been tested before as well. And I think what wisdom teaches us is to look in history, and when they got tested, what did they do to successfully make it? As we go back to Job, Job got stubborn. He dug his heels in. No matter how tough it got, he would not stop giving God the praise. Let's pause right here, because I'm going to purposely pull out different messages that I want all of you listeners to catch on to today as I'm teaching this message. The first question, if you're taking notes with me, that I have for all of you listening, when times get tough, do you all of a sudden turn away from your faith? When times get really tough and things are not going the way that you thought they were going to go, do you get real nasty and do you really turn away from your faith? Do you all of a sudden just think that God left you to the wolves and you're going to be ate up and he has no plan for your life anymore because the sun's not shining anymore? It's a question for you. See, Job lost everything. He lost it all. But he never, ever, 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 ever turned from God. Ever. And we can learn from that. I'm reminded in my own household with my own mom. She went through a very dark time in her life once upon a time. And long story short, I remember asking her about it. And she told me, I'll never forget these words for the rest of my life. She said, I repeat verbatim. She said, I almost got mad at God because she felt she was living righteous. She was doing the best she could, and she could not understand why this attack was coming on her, why these things were happening one after another. She didn't understand. And if you think about it, none of us would understand. But she never turned away from her faith. Instead, she dug deeper. So that leads me to the second part of the message, which is when you come up under attack, whether it's physically, emotionally, spiritually, or all health-wise, or all business-wise, or all of the above, what you have to do is you have to dig deeper. And how do you do that? Let me give you some ideas, some help, both spiritually and naturally. What do you do? What you do spiritually that I recommend, go to the good book. No, I haven't read the whole Bible yet, but go to the good book and begin to pull out different characters in the Bible that have gone through exactly what you're going through. Exactly. It's very important that you do this. You say, well, why should I do that? Because, see, it's important for your mind and your spirit to know that you're not alone in this. You're not the first one to go through this. See, many times what the enemy wants to do, he wants to make you think God's forgotten about you. You know, you're forgotten about. You don't have any money. You know, you don't have a relationship. Just, everything's just horrible. And the enemy wants to paint this horrible picture in your mind that, like I said, like doom and gloom, like it's darkness for you. There's no more light. You're too messed up. You're too screwed up. You don't have this right. You don't have that right. And so that's what remember, the enemy's goal is to attack your thought life. Now, please don't be ignorant to think that what I'm teaching right now doesn't also apply to business. It applies to everything. The enemy's goal, this is his goal. Now, if I'm teaching you something, some of the best teaching in the world is called preparation. It's preparing the team for what you're about to encounter. Now, look here. You're going to have to fight your own fight, just like I got to fight mine, but at least I can tell you or teach you how to fight when the fight comes on. Oh, because the fight coming for you. Listen here. I'm talking to you, Romacio. I'm talking to you. I'm talking to every single one of you listening. The fight is coming for you. But wait a minute, Romacio. I just got out of a fight. Well, look here, man. Another one's coming too. I'm telling you, it's coming. It has to come. It has to come. Because God uses the resistance. He uses the fight to perfect your faith. Write it down. He uses the fight. How do you get stronger if you don't go through nothing? So no, I wouldn't teach my little girl if I had a daughter, oh, this little Huckleberry Finn, perfect life, a white picket fence and all this type of stuff. No. No, that's not what I would teach my kids. No, I wouldn't. Because it's not real. That's why. So, back to what we're talking about. When the fight comes and darkness comes on you, you've got to dig deeper. So point number 1 is you dig deeper by finding references of other characters in the Bible that have successfully gone through the season that you are in. Please write that down. Very important. The first thing you can do. You say, well, Romacio, why should I reference the people in the Bible first? Because everything in this lifetime, including the phone call that you're on right now, is spiritual first. Everything is. And then it's natural or physical second. So the best place to reference everything is always start in the spiritual, so that you can understand the demonic attack that you're under and how to fight against it. Okay, so that's point number 1, what you do when you're under attack. Point number 2, from the natural or from the physical perspective, what do you do when you're under attack? Is you look for other people, physical people, real people in the world that have gone through what you are going through. See, earlier you heard me talk about, and I talk about my parents a lot, but I was able to watch, in my case, physically, how my kinfolks, how my parents, how they went through things. So I know both wrong to do, and I also know what right to do. I physically saw it. And that's the great news of having a great example. And I know that nobody's perfect, and a lot of us don't have that. More of us have bad examples of what to do than we do good examples. Well, listen. Let me tell you the good news of a bad example. At least you know what not to do, so therefore that becomes motivation of, you know what, I don't want to do what I saw, blah, 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 what I saw them do. Instead, I'm going to do something different. In other words, it's like the people who didn't have parents when they were coming up, or they didn't have a good upbringing, or they didn't have all that. And next thing you know, I know some people that become amazing parents because of what they didn't have, right? So what I'm saying, point number 2, you want to find physical people, if you can, that have gone through what you're going through. And in a world today that has technology and social media and all this other stuff, it's very easy to find someone that's gone through a health challenge, a money challenge, a relationship challenge. 77% of relationships today end in divorce. So it's very easy to find people that have gone through what it is you're going through. But what you want to look for is not just people that have gone through what you're going through. You want to look, write this down because this is the climax. You want to physically look for people that have gone through what you're going through and came out all the more the better because of it. This is critical. You don't want to just surround yourself with people that have gone through what you're going through and now it's part of their devastation. No, that's not going to help you. You want to look for people that have gone through what you've gone through and they became stronger, wiser, better because of it. That's what you need. That's exactly what you need. And when you think about it, as human beings, we are attracted to strong people. We are attracted to people who win, people who are strong, people who go through something and they get back up, take a licking, and keep on ticking. We are drawn to that because we were created from that. That's why we're drawn to that, okay? So now, those are the 2 things you now know what to do when you come under a demonic attack. Now, some of you are very young listening to me. You too are still going to come under a demonic attack. All of a sudden, they're talking bad about you. all of a sudden you can't get the promotion that you worked so hard for. All of a sudden, the girl of your dreams and rejected you. You're going to come through. All of this type of stuff is going to happen. Somebody going to die that you least expected to die. So, I'm telling you, it's very important that you save this call, because I can tell you for sure it's coming. It has to come. Because when we look at the story of Job, it's a very interesting story, because Job was so righteous. I come back to that again, because many of you think if I just live perfect or try and be as perfect as I can, I'll be spared from all evil. No, you won't. Not true. Not true. I'm reminded in the book of James when it says, I, the Lord, create good and I create evil. When I read that, I must have got blown away. I said, wait, whoa. Because in my mind, I used to think, well, God, if you God, why you let all this happen? And first of all, God, he had to tap me on the shoulder and said, hold on, homie. I don't owe you no explanation to nothing. First of all, I'm God. That's what he said. I'm like, wow, okay, big fella. But then he took me further into Scripture, and I learned that it says that I, the Lord, create good and I create evil. So in other words, what that teaches me is that he has a purpose. And again, it also says in Scripture that this is what he uses to perfect your faith. Very, very profound. In other words, think of it this way. If you got everything you wanted, then how do you consider yourself strong? You never went through nothing. So how could you consider yourself useful? How can you be helpful to others of us out here? We need you to go through something. We need you to have a testimony of something. See? So now it makes more sense when you put it into the context. All right. So let's go back to Job. All right. So we now know what to do when you come under attack. We now also know that even if you try and live perfect and be all right, you're still going to have to navigate you're going to still have some dark times. It's still going to happen. But at least, thank God, today you have been taught in a simple manner 2 simple things you can do to fight your battle. Number 1, take it to spiritual realm. Look for spiritual examples. Number 2, look for physical examples. Okay? Now, let's keep going. I want to go to a place where, in the story of Job, it got so tough. And some of you, I don't know if you've ever been there yet. But there's a time when things get so tough. And it's interesting. If you ask a 5-year-old baby, they would say, oh, my goodness, Mama, this is so tough. This is so hard. I can't do this. And then if you were to ask a 50-year-old man, and they would say, I've lost everything and I don't have anything, and he would say, man, this is so tough. So in other words, what that tells us is tough is relative to the individual. What is hard or what is tough is relative to the individual. But if you can all just imagine with me for a moment, it got so tough where Job lost everything. Not only to lose everything that you've worked so hard for, including your family, and now your body is coming up under attack with boils all over you. I mean, just imagine. Now, I'm not saying that this is going to happen to you, but what I am saying to you, and please write this down and circle it, you are being tested. God has no respect of person. He doesn't like you more than he likes me. He doesn't like me more than he likes you. Get that through your skull. Whoever told you that, wherever that thought come from, that is demonic. No, your sin is not worse than mine. My sin is not worse than yours. Sin is sin. Do you understand me? And this is why we thank God for grace and mercy. And this is why we thank God for being able to be forgiven 10,000 times per day. Okay, so please understand. But now, when you are, if you could just imagine going through a dark time where you lost it all. I want you to write this down. You are being tested. Now listen to me. Hear me well when I say this next. I'm going to go real slow right here. I want you to think about when you were in school. Not every test did you pass. Some tests you didn't pass with a great grade. Some tests you passed with high grades. So what this tells you is when you're going through a dark time, this is only a test. You got to know it. Number one, write that down and circle it. I'm being tested. I'm being tested. I'm being tested. Now, you may say, well, what's being tested, Romacio? Sometimes your patience is being tested. Sometimes that's what's being tested. Sometimes your willpower is being tested. How bad do you want it? Sometimes you're being tested in the area of, will you allow distractions to come in and take you off of your assignment is the test. Sometimes you're being tested on forgiveness. Can you forgive and let go? Sometimes you're being tested on, it's getting boring. Can you keep going? Can you stick to your routine? Sometimes you're being tested on, can you take a licking and go through a dark season? And can you take away the positive meaning from what you went through and make you stronger? That's right. Sometimes, like Jesus said in the Garden of Gethsemane, Father, will you let this bitter cup pass? And sometimes, in other words, you're being tested. You have to go through this. This is for the greater good that you can't see right now, but you're being tested. Sometimes you're being tested, as you're going through. Can you still give God the praise? Will you still trust him? This is the big one. The biggest test of all is, do you trust him? That's the biggest test of all. Will you still trust him? That you, yes, you, God has a plan for your life. Yes, you, the promises that God gave me and he gave to so-and-so, he also gave to you. Yes, you, God wants you to prosper. Yes, you. So what I'm saying to you here is, whatever season you're in, no matter how dark it may be, it is truly a test. Now, as with any test, the way you respond to the test will determine how long you continue to get tested in that. Let me say that again, because again, that was another climax for the call here. Just like any test, for example, let me give you something really simple. If I were to test you right now, what's 1 + 1? You're being tested. And if you continue to say the answer is 1, well, we're going to have to keep retesting you in that same area because you still haven't gotten it right yet. Now, hold on. This is where it gets real good. Some of you think that just because you're having to be retested again and again and again and again in a particular area, you think that it's doom and gloom for you, or it's over for you, or God has forgotten about you. No, that's not true. Remember, the purpose of a test according to spiritual realm is for the perfecting of your faith. So watch this now. Watch this. It's really important that you don't start looking over at your neighbor and start noticing that they didn't finish that test 2 hours ago, 3 days ago. Stop worrying about them. See, God is dealing with you. You are his special child. You've got special things about your thought process, your belief system, your proclivities. You've got certain proclivities in you that maybe your neighbor doesn't have in them. Stay with me. So you can't do what we call rubbernecking. What does that mean? Where you're looking to the left and to the right, worrying about what they're doing. You've got to stay focused on the test that he is taking you through. This is for the perfecting of your faith. Okay, so this is very important. It's not until you pass that test that you can finally be promoted to the next level. See, I'm reminded of the next part of the story with Job. Job showed God that he was going to praise him when he was high with wealth and riches and when he had nothing. His love and loyalty did not change no matter what season he found himself in. That's huge. I'm going to say that again. His loyalty did not change no matter what season he was in. Let's swing over here to Joseph. Many of you know the story of Joseph. I'm not going to go through it right now. We all know that Joseph went through all sorts of things, but everything God promised him came to pass. But see, here's what I want to show you. Joseph was given a promise by God early on in his life. Joseph did not know everything he was going to have to go through before he manifested the actual promise. But again, once you pass the test, then promotion happens for you. Go back to the little silly example that I gave you, 1 plus 1. If I test you with 1 plus 1 and you keep saying the answer is 1, well, we can't promote you yet. We can't take you to the next level. You know why? Because you are not ready for it yet. And that's hard for most of us to understand. Why have you not answered my prayer? Why has it not happened yet? What's going on? What am I being tested at? Where am I being tested at? What is it that I need to get better at so that I can move ahead in my life? See, sometimes when it's not happening the way you want it, little do you not know, there you are upset at God and you don't even know God is protecting you. You don't even know that you're being protected. Because if I were to send you out there right now, you're unprepared, you think you know, but you really don't know, and next thing you know, you done pretty much got in over your head. Wisdom, once again. So, it's important that we understand that you're being tested. It's also important that you know what to do when being tested, which we've already talked about that. And it's mostly important for us to give thanks while being tested. Lord, I trust you. If you don't know what else to say, if you get confused, take a page out of Romacio Fulcher's book. Every day, no matter how I feel about how good it is or how bad it is, Lord, I trust you. Lord, I trust you. When I say that, what that means is, Lord, your thoughts are higher than mine. Every time I get to try and over-calculate and then thinking about it, listen, you know better than me. And I know your intentions are good for me. So therefore I say, Lord, I trust you. Lord, I trust you. Because see, what the enemy wants to do, he wants to distract your thoughts with so much negativity so he can get inside of you to create separation from the goodness that God has for you. He wants to create separation. He's trying to recruit you. That's why it's so important when you're going through a dark season, it's important to make sure you've got good words coming out of your mouth. Let me say that again. It's important when you're going through a tough time, health-wise, business-wise, family-wise, relationship-wise. It's so important to make sure you got great words coming out of your mouth. This is really important. From a spiritual perspective, it's your words that are everything. They're everything. Because the Bible says faith comes by hearing, and hearing the word of God, right? But then the Bible also says now faith. In other words, faith without works is dead. So first of all, I need to hear. That's really important. You need to keep hearing it. So therefore, when you speak, your ears get to hear your mouth say a thing, decree a thing. And so when you do that, that is so important. I can't stress that enough to you. And the biggest thing that you should be saying, specifically when you're going through a dark season, is giving God the praise. Because, see, that's what confuses the enemy. He gets so confused when he's trying to take you out. He's trying to recruit you. He's trying to make you give up. He's trying to get you to see, no, it's not going to happen. It just ain't going to happen. You're not enough. You're too late. You're too old. It's just not going to happen. I'm so sorry. That's what he's trying to do. Remember, the enemy needs fear to promote his agenda. And remember, God needs faith to promote his. So at any given moment in your life, what's really warring is fear versus faith. That's what's really going on. And it shows up in the natural. And when you go through these dark seasons, it's so important that the words of faith leave your lips. Never mind how much money is in the bank account right now. Never mind if you don't have the girl of your dreams right now. Never mind if the baby hasn't come forth. Never mind if you haven't gotten the promotion right now. It's just a test. It's just a test. That's all it is. It's just a test. Now, I want to go back to that testing. You see, because when you say it's just a test, most of us think in terms of grade school. And in school, the test, how long the test lasts? An hour, 2 hours, 3 hours? I don't know too many tests that last longer than 4 or 5 hours. You know, with the SAT, what that last? I don't know. What, 4 or 5 hours, 6 hours, something like that? So most of us think in terms of, oh, okay, a test should usually only last an hour or 2 or 3. That's not necessarily how it works in the spiritual realm. Now, listen to me carefully. Listen to me very carefully. God does not sit up there on the throne and say, hey, you need to be good. You need to go through this for 5 years. Then I'm going to take you out of it. That's not what he says. Now, God does know how long you're going to have to go through that. He knows, and only he knows. You don't even know. You don't know. That's only God knows. Don't nobody else know but God. And the reason why you're going through it is it's perfecting your faith. Please write that down right now so that you don't have to ask any more silly questions. Why is this happening to me? It's to perfect your faith. Now, let me give you the good news before we wrap this thing on up. According to Scripture, God also said that any time you are faced with a dark situation, darkness could mean financial despair, a relationship despair, a health despair. He said in his word that anytime you face a dark situation, he will always make a way of escape for you. Not sometimes. He said every time there will be a way of escape. Every single time. Please, I need you to write this down. I want you to circle this 3 times. Right? Let me say it slowly. Whenever I go through a dark season in my life, no matter what it is, whenever I go through a dark season in my life, no matter what it is, God will always make a way of escape for me. Come on, class, write that down. Hey, listen, you overseas, you listening to me right now. Stop what you're doing, pause the audio, write this down. This is important. You're going to need this. I'm telling you, you're going to need this. Whenever you go through a dark season, God has said, according to his word, I didn't say it, his word said it, he will always make a way of escape for you. Okay? Now circle that 3 times. Now let's talk about what this means before we wrap up here. What this means is, when you're going through a dark season and you got all these questions in your mind, why this, what's happening, I don't understand, blah, 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 blah. This is where you need to tighten up your prayer life, and this is where you need to ask God to show me where is my way of escape. Show me my refuge. Show me my way of escape. Sometimes, listen to me, sometimes with your physical eye, you won't see it. That's why you have to pray and you have to ask God to show you in the spiritual, through your spiritual eyes. There's 2 sets of eyes you've got. You've got your physical eyes, which, by the way, your physical eyes are what you see through. Now write that down. That's not what you see with. Let me say it again. Your physical eyes are what you see through. So you're looking through your lens, right? But that's not what you see with. Spiritual eyes is what you see with. So you have to ask God to show you for your way of escape, number 1. Number 2, ask him to show you spiritually your way of escape. Show him. Ask him to open your spiritual eyes so you can see it. Now, here's the best part. Once he opens your spiritual eyes to see what your way of escape is through that situation, the interesting thing about it, it was already there. It was already there the whole time. You just couldn't see it. It was already there the whole time, but you just couldn't see it. You say, well, I don't understand, Romacio. Why couldn't I see it? Because your perspective needed to be shifted. The way you were looking at it was way down yonder. It was way down there. And God is saying, no. Come up here. Let me show you from this perspective. In other words, hey, you're looking at what you're going through right now, and God this and God that, and oh my God, it's doom and gloom. And God is saying, if you only knew what I had coming for you, you wouldn't even be tripping on this thing here. You're looking at it the wrong way. Hello? You're looking at it the wrong way. Your perspective is off. So God is saying, no, don't go down there. Come up here. Come up hither. Come up here. Let me show you from here, this viewpoint. Look at it this way. And when you look at it this way, there it is. There's the answer. So this is a very, very heavy message here today. I'm going to ask you to re-listen to this message several times. I'm going to tell you, depending upon where you're at in your growth, it will determine how much you are able to swallow from this message. Lastly, I'm going to ask you as a special favor to me to re-listen to this specific message several times throughout the next 7 days. This message right here. And the way that this ties in to prosperity, as we talked about, when God gives you a promise, you're going to have to be stubborn and stand on it. When God gives you a promise, you're going to have to be stubborn and stand on it. You're going to have to say, you know what, I don't care how I feel. I don't care what it looks like. I'm not giving up and I'm not giving in. My body may be tired. I may be low on fuel, but I'm still going to open my mouth and say just one thing, Lord, I trust you. See, that confuses the enemy every single time. Because the purpose of the negative and the darkness is to take you under. But the purpose of faith and the light is to make you rise above and stand strong. I'm not saying you're not going to go through something. Yes, you are. I can guarantee you that. I'm not saying to you it's not going to hurt. Yes, it is. I can promise you that too. But just like Job did, you need to open your mouth and just say, Father, I trust you. Will you say that with me right now? Wherever you are spiritually, wherever you are health-wise, wherever you are relationship-wise, wherever you are in your finances. I know many of us are not where we want to be, but I truthfully believe we're a long way from where we used to be. I know that some of you maybe looking at the same story over and over and over again, saying, wait a minute, Romacio, I'm in the same spot as I was 2 years ago, 3 years ago. I can promise you this. We serve a God that's in the restoration business. We serve a God that doesn't know anything about time. See, time is physical. God isn't. We serve a God, we're in the restoration business. We're literally, I promise you, 1 ounce of God's favor is worth a whole lifetime of labor. I promise you the dream he gave you, even though the distractions that came for you, I promise you it has not been aborted. I promise you this. All you have to do is open your mouth and begin to say, Lord, I trust you. Lord, I trust you. I thank you for this, your servant Romacio. I thank you for this message. This message right here is what I needed to hear. This message right here, I'm going to continue to re-listen to. There's a lot of meat here. This message right here is for me. And I'm going to continue, despite what it may look like, despite what it makes look like, I'm going to open my mouth. I'm going to continue to give you praise because I know that your intentions are good for me. So, ladies and gentlemen, and last but not least, I'm going to ask you to share this message with at least one person that you know. Hey, guys, listen, I'm the California kid. I love you guys dearly. This wraps up our final message of talking about prosperity. That's right. We ended it with talking about you got to be stubborn. That's right, baby. You got to stand on that thing. You got to get nasty with that thing. You got to stand on it. I ain't moving. I don't care what it look like. I ain't moving. It's going to happen. It got to happen. Because he said it was going to happen. And I promise you do that. And just understand that everything that you're going through is for the perfecting of your faith. And if you give God the glory, that's all he wants. That's all he wants. If you give God the glory, he's going to show you the message in your story. One more time. If you give God the glory, he's going to show you the message inside of your story. And you are going to have the story for all the other people that's coming through exactly what you're going through. So with that, guys, I love you dearly, and I'll see you guys all next week. Goodbye, everybody.